The way we consume and share news to date is largely rooted in social media outlets, a reason why it's crucial to look at what's being discussed online. From the hottest issues to trends for our daily social media minute, we're joined by Erica.
Good morning.
Good morning. Because we talked about it on the segment yesterday, I have to talk about the fact that Rolling Stone magazine, at 200 greatest singers of all time,
Left out Celine Dion.
it's a whole hashtag and a movement.
I know. Yeah, I saw that.
Celine Dion fans are not too happy.
No.
Now, of course, fans of other great artists that were unfortunately not included on this list have a bone to pick with Rolling Stone.
It's funny what they said. They explained that this was a list of the greatest singers of all time and not the greatest voices of all time. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean?
That's just the worst answer. Just don't say anything. I thought, then what does it make the 200 other singers that were already listed?
I don't know.
I don't know. Silence is golden. Right.
In some cases, definitely.
All right. So let's leave it there for now.
Yep.
The dispute continues as we speak. Relics believed to be from the Goyreo Dynasty identified in Cheong Wa Dae grounds. This is why when we go to break ground, when we go to, erect new buildings, things come to a halt quite frequently.
That's right. And there's been a new study that's been conducted. More like an investigation.
Yeah.
The results of the investigation showed that certain relics, pieces of roof tiles, they found some earthenware pottery, were discovered within the Cheong Wa Dae grounds. And these relics are believed to be from the Goyreo Dynasty.
It's fascinating. I mean, I'm sure they will need further investigations to identify exactly when, where, and how it ended up in the grounds. But at least they have a lead. We have actually known that Cheong Wa Dae grounds used to be the back garden of Gyeongbokgung Palace during the Joseon Dynasty. The discovery of these relics is apparently significant at this time because it will most likely affect how the Cheong Wa Dae grounds will be managed and utilized moving forward.
Because we still don't know
what's buried underground.
Or
discovered.
But I think people are still trying to figure out how to best utilize the grounds now that it's been
turned public?
Yeah, turned public, and millions of, close to 3 million people have visited the Cheong Wa Dae grounds since it opened to the public last year.
Wow.
Yep.
3 million.
Exactly. So on Tuesday, the Cultural Heritage Administration's Royal Tombs and Palaces Center made public the results of the Gyeongbokgung Palace Huwon Field Survey, which was commissioned by the Korean Architectural History Association. Now, Cheong Wa Dae is said to have been the grounds of the secondary palace of the king during the Goryeo Dynasty in the city of Namgyong. Now, it used to be used as a back garden of Gyeongbokgung Palace during the Joseon Dynasty. We also know that Emperor Gojong, who renovated Gyeongbokgung Palace in the late 1860s, is known to have tried to make this area into a palace with functions similar to that of the back garden of the Changdeokgung Palace. Used for social functions and things like that. Now, according to the Cultural Heritage Administration, the researchers conducted its latest investigations by categorizing the general grounds of the Cheong Wa Dae area into ancient architecture, modern architecture, as well as plants and landscaping.
Okay, so I mean, these discussions are happening as we try to figure out how do we best utilize, frankly speaking, a pretty large amount of space with so many historic relics to be found.
Yes, now a total of 8 relics believed from the Goryeo and Joseon periods have so far been identified. This is the result of a sort of a naked eye investigation by 3 experts who reviewed past aerial photographs and building layout.
Okay, so further and more detailed with tools, maybe? Investigations might be necessary. What have they found so far?
Yes, so they found small pieces of earthenware, larger pieces of pottery, as well as tiles with inscriptions on them. Yeah. Like you said, the researchers said closer investigation needs to be conducted in the coming days to find out what this all means and how to better manage the grounds. Now, 8 months have passed since the Cheong Wa Dae opened to the public, and attention is also being focused on the future management measures of the area. And we heard news that some of the relics had been destroyed by tourists, visitors, and
they probably didn't know that it was that precious.
It still doesn't matter. Why break things,
That's a really good point. Yeah. Why break things when it's not broken?
Right.
All right.
And since last year, around 2.78 million visitors have visited Cheong Wa Dae.
But that's a lot of people on the stomping ground.
That's right.
Okay, so maybe they needed a more thorough investigation before just allowing people to walk in. I mean, it's colder these days.
That's right.
So I'm assuming there are a little less people crowding the area. This might be the perfect time to do a more thorough investigation.
That's right.
It's funny because I'm sure you turn to each corner and you look closer and there are relics to be found.
Everywhere.
I mean, our producer is zooming in on what I only assume is a valuable wall.
It's a wall and it's an inscription on it. Yeah.
Got you. Okay, so there you have it. All right, we'll leave it there for now. I feel like that's not the last of it. Okay, let's move on to outer space. Why not? I mean, we covered history. Now we must take our listeners into the future.
That's right.
All right. So Danuri has apparently sent back some pictures and they're stunning.
Yeah, they're beautiful. So we talked about it. Danuri was launched from the U.S. in August of last year on a SpaceX rocket. It entered lunar orbit just last month. Now, Danuri is set to begin its scientific mission, which includes mapping and analyzing lunar terrain, measuring magnetic strength and gamma rays. The orbiter will also test experimental space internet technology by transmitting photos and videos to Earth, which will then be used to select potential sites for a South Korean moon landing, currently slated for 2032.
Less than 10 years away. Right. There's a reason why we haven't really returned to moon in decades. It's costly. That's one. It's difficult. That's another. But it seems that we're trying to set up internet towers on moon to ensure that our next missions, I don't know, to Mars, is ensured safe.
We're looking at, are those like tiny little craters on the moon's surface? And is that the Earth?
Maybe it's just us being exposed to way too many sci-fi movies. Right. That does not look real.
It doesn't look real because it looks so real.
Yeah. That's actually true. When an image is that crystal clear, right? I mean, look at the craters, my friends. Okay. So South Korea is now the world's 7th lunar explorer. Better late than never. It has also laid out some ambitious plans to land, at least take the spacecraft to Mars by 2045.
That's right.
The first step is discovering the darker side of the moon, setting up a home, essentially, or at least, a resting spot on the moon. Now let's talk about these images that the Danuri has sent back.
So what Danuri is doing right now is it's circling the moon every 2 hours. Okay. And the first images, which were taken between Christmas Eve and January 1st, show the lunar surface and our beautiful planet Earth. Now, the photo is in black and white, so we can't see the blue planet. But what you're looking at right now, that's it. That's it, where we live.
That's
Yeah. So the Korea Aerospace Research Institute said in a statement that the images were shot from less than 120 kilometers over the moon. And I guess that's pretty close, right?
It's pretty close, apparently, according to the experts.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the first set of images.
We're going to get some more.
All right. Let's bring things back to planet Earth.
Yeah.
Efforts to return looted artwork. It has been going strong. We've talked about it on the segment before. It's probably not the last either. 2,300-year-old Green Coffin has traveled all the way from the United States to Egypt.
That's right. This ancient wooden sarcophagus is known as the Green Coffin. It's self-explanatory. The coffin is green, Gotcha. It's been returned to Egypt from the Houston Museum of Natural Sciences in the United States. The U.S. authorities determined years ago that the sarcophagus had been looted, in fact. Now, the repatriation is part of Egyptian government efforts to stop the trafficking of its stolen antiquities. Last year, authorities in Cairo succeeded in getting back 5,300 1,500 stolen artifacts from all around the world.
In a year. That is remarkable.
Yep.
Clearly, they want to fill up their newly built, incredible museums.
We're streaming an image right now. The face is green.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the coffin. That's
Yes.
just been returned to Egypt from the
It
United
looks
States.
remarkably well preserved as well.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
what's the trick there? Let's talk about this green coffin in detail. I mean, what do we know about it so far? And
Yeah.
why is it so significant?
It dates back to the late dynastic period of ancient Egypt. Now, this was an era spanning from the time of the last pharaonic rulers in 664 BC until Alexander the Great's campaign in 332 BC. The sarcophagus, it's huge. It's almost 3 meters tall. Has a brightly painted top surface. Experts say that it may have belonged to an ancient priest named Ankhenmot. Now, some of the inscriptions on the coffin have been erased, so it's a little bit difficult to tell at this point.
At this point.
Yeah, who it belongs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we have more gadgets now, right? I'm assuming maybe with more thorough investigation, we'll get more details out of
Probably.
this. Okay. There was apparently a big ceremony when the green coffin was handed over to Egypt.
Yes, there was a symbolic ceremony, of course, of the handover following a news conference in Cairo yesterday. Now, the return of the sarcophagus comes as more and more countries around the world are demanding the return of artifacts representing their heritage from museums in Europe and North America. Egyptians have also demanding the return of the Rosetta Stone. One of the most important pieces in the British Museum. Now, the demand comes 200 years after the deciphering of this slab, which led to unlocking the secrets of hieroglyphic script, and it led to the birth of Egyptology.
And I've always attached the Rosetta Stone to the British Museum.
Yep.
It's the most iconic pieces
It
there.
is.
One of the oldest pieces there. I wonder how the British Museum feels about that request. I suspect the return of the artifacts could also help boost a country's tourism sector.
Of course, and tourism sector, it's a crucial source of income for the country of Egypt, whose economy right now is struggling. The country is soon expected to open a new museum, by the way, near the Giza pyramids to showcase its most famous ancient Egyptian collections. I've been to Egypt. I mean, there's so much to see and to take in. And the news of this new museum. When can I travel to Egypt?
Honestly, I understand that the plans to open up this museum has been delayed a few years.
Yes.
I mean, namely the pandemic, but to fill up this massive space was another story.
Yes.
I think they're ready for their tourists. Yep. When can we travel?
When can I travel to Cairo?
Let us know, Erica.
Okay.
Thank you for the stories.
Pleasure.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
If you're listening to our program using the podcast service, just a reminder that we do go live Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Korea Standard Time. So tune in and help us make the show more informative by giving us your input. See you bright and early on Good Morning Seoul.